It's August 27th, 10:30 p.m. Observing the irregular movements in orbital path of the moon hologram. You can see that every now and then the moon orb cluster and hologram nucleus is moving in reverse. This is unnatural for an object moving through space on a given path. Only objects intelligently controlled by some sort of intelligence, whether machine type intelligence or living life form intelligence, can move and change course. Physical objects do not change course unless they are driven or guided by someone or something. Newton's laws say that an object will follow its path or trajectory unless acted upon by an outside force. It cannot go in reverse. Obviously, the orb cluster nucleus in the moon hologram does perform movements in reverse. It's going backward, and that can only happen if it's intelligently controlled to do so. Contrary to what some people have suggested on my channel, it's not the Earth that's spinning the wrong way or slowing down its spin. It is the moon hologram that's making this kind of movement and motions. The question is how come or why, and the answer is because all the activity happening in that nucleus by intelligent organisms called orbs. Okay, they're living organisms, and this is a cluster of living organisms. The moon hologram is a cluster of living organisms which provides and supplies energy to a much larger and a huge dark matter cluster of other living organisms which are also orbs or comprised of orbs, which are also an intelligent life form or forms themselves, and these two living masses are one and the same organism, part of it being the nucleus and the rest being the rest of the living organism. The nucleus providing the energy for the rest of the organism. So, I'm just still watching the thing go back in reverse and making very large jumps. I'm not at high zoom power right now because I want to see the whole thing and make sure it's moving. I'm going to move it back. Wow, that moved back way on its own. Yeah, it's making huge jumps backwards in reverse. Okay, it's doing that on its own. Now it's moving up. I have to go and follow it. Okay, I think it's aware of being filmed. There must be something on the camera that makes it aware that it's being filmed. And it's trying to move out of the way. Okay, the other thing is that the activity in the nucleus has gotten much greater, and the entire moon or cluster nucleus and hologram has gotten much brighter than it ever used to be. Okay. It's become very active. All that light is coming from all that activity because it creates a lot of heat and light and radiation and all kinds of other energy. You could see all the clusters, how many there are. And you could see all the orbs that make them. And you can see how fast they're moving. All the movement is counter-clockwise, and all the activity is at a very high velocity. There is nothing moving slowly. That's one or two large orbs there on the edge. 3, 1, 2, 3. There's one that's black or dark, and two, maybe three that are one on the bottom, that's four that are light in color. There. Okay, so there's more right there on the bottom. There's some right there. There's more there. There's that black one. There's more here. Okay, that's me moving the camera, trying to get the orbs in place, but it's also the moon hologram jumping around as well, because now I'm close, and at this magnitude, it really jumps around a lot, because I'm very close. Look at the size of this. That's a large orb right there. Okay, they're all large, but some are much larger than the others. Those are all very large orbs. It's important to remember that every orb, large or small, is an orb cluster, and it can break into its separate components, meaning it can break into smaller clusters, and they can break into smaller clusters until they're so small that they become invisible. They can be even subatomic particles and energy waves, even pure energy like light. Okay, they could be particles and waves of light. And so it would be harder to see them, but very quickly they can come together and form the cluster again. Okay, this is the larger cluster. It's all around the moon hologram, meaning, you know, on the sides, in the front, behind it, below and above it, all over the place. And most of space is composed of these organisms. Space is not empty. It's full of these organisms. And they look the same on camera, but on an individual level, they're not the same. They, just like people, I mean, if you looked at people from space, they would look the same if you could see them down on the ground, but when you come close, they all have, you know, different faces and different features and even different color and all that. So, say with these organisms, they look the same because they can't get that close and they can see individual features. Wow, you see that? He doesn't want me to see the that area. That's the area I want to see. Okay, so this, the yellow ring on the inside, like mustard color, and then the red one on the outside, those are orbs shooting counter-clockwise, meaning towards the bottom and around that nucleus. And that's happening on all the sides of the spherical structure. But since this is a two-dimensional image on camera, we're going to talk about just the two-dimensional image. So The orbs on this image are shooting from top to bottom, counterclockwise and around the hologram. The hologram being the circle or the full moon. And they act like a force field to hold that energy of the nucleus in, and also not to let anything in from the outside other than organisms such as orbs, which all take part in or take a turn in making the nucleus work, because they all participate in keeping the nucleus going and creating the energy for the cluster. So here is, if I can get it, and get on a good angle so I can show it. Okay, so there is the exchange between the orbs. Some orbs are coming in to the nucleus from the larger cluster, and those white ones especially, they're charged already. They're leaving and they're going out into the larger cluster to charge up other orbs that haven't gone into the nucleus yet. So this is the way the nucleus and the cluster keep going with enough energy to survive until all the orbs get a chance to go into the nucleus and charge up. Okay, so this is the exchange point right there. So these orbs, inside and outside, they pass right through that membrane right there. It's like a membrane, and it lets the orbs in and out, but not other things. So it's like a force field that's a membrane, and it lets orbs in and out, but it doesn't let anything else in or out. And that's like 360 degrees times 360 times 360 around that spherical cluster or cluster. That's the nucleus or the moon hologram. Look how bright it got. Okay, that's because it doesn't want me to see anything, and I know that that's the reason. Okay, look how bright those got. Okay, so this is intelligent behavior. No matter what you say about it, you have to agree that this is intelligent behavior on the part of the cluster, because all the organisms that make up that cluster, or the nucleus of the larger orb cluster, the dark matter cluster, they're intelligent. They're all intelligent. Look how bright it got. This thing is going to be a star very soon, because once this reaches a critical point, and tips that critical point, the changes will happen very fast. It's not going to be a slow process after a while. Okay, it's maybe taking some time now, but in the last year or so, this has increased 1,000-fold. The brightness has gotten much greater, and once that critical point has been reached, the process becomes exponential, and things start really happening fast. So this is right at the borderline of becoming a star, and it's very close to us, and that's very dangerous for us. I don't know how long it will take for this to become a star, but it's very close right now. And it's nothing to be, you can't ignore it. I mean, look how bright that is everywhere. And look at all these organisms. And they're everywhere. There's no shortage of dark matter that can fill that nucleus. And once that tipping point is reached and the critical mass is attained, and the critical energy is attained, it'll just snowball. It'll just go poof and be a star, just like that, real fast. And it's very close to that, in my opinion, right now. So if you're looking for a planet, to move to, we better start. There's no time to fool around and wait, because look what that thing is doing. Okay? I think the next trial will be by fire and radiation, because I don't think going underground is the answer. When this thing turns into a star, it'll just cook everything right through, and then it melt it. And there'll be no Earth if that happens. See? It just breaks every rule and law of physics that exists the way this thing is moving. Every rule. There's not one rule it hasn't broken. And that's only because this thing is moving in an intelligent and orderly fashion. I mean, it's not just doing just any old movement like a robot. This is like truly intelligent movement, and the whole thing is showing a great deal of intelligent activity, so that this is no longer a drone. It's not an alien ship that's put there to watch us and nobody's on it. This is a living organism, and it's doing intelligent things, and I don't know exactly its purpose, but the probability of this becoming a star is high, because it's getting more and more energy, and not just because now it's a full moon and it's brighter. It's like this every night. You can check my videos over the last year, and you'll see that it's gotten brighter and brighter, full moon or not full moon. It makes no difference. The thing is just getting brighter and brighter and brighter, and that means it's getting hotter and hotter, and it's going to reach that critical mass and just go poof and become a star, because it's going to ignite fusion, nuclear fusion, and then it'll become a full-blown star, and these organisms can exist in that kind of environment. They were created in that kind of environment. I believe they were created during the Big Bang, and they're some of the first organisms that were living organisms that came out of the Big Bang. and populated the universe. So that's what I believe about orbs. And that's why I believe they're so intelligent, because they've had enough time to gather a lot of information and use it or abuse it. They've used it and abused it, and they can change energy into matter and matter into energy, and that's what they intend to do. They intend to turn this thing into a star and use the Earth and the nearby planets as energy to fuel it. And clouds are coming in, but it appears to be in front of them. Let's see. It's sort of going right through them. Yeah, it's in front of them. Nothing makes sense anymore. Absolutely nothing. Boy, oh boy. And these aren't just light clouds that the thing is in front of. You know, if it was behind them, it would have blocked. That they would have blocked it already. So that's what I'm talking about. Things like this. You know, you can't. These could be like clouds of orbs, because our atmosphere is full of them. The other day I tried to take a video of a huge orb on the moon hologram, or in the nucleus itself, right on the edge. And out of nowhere, all these clouds came in and blocked the whole thing. And I couldn't see it, except for a few times where I have an opening for a few seconds. And I tried to take a video of that, but I don't know how much came out, because I haven't looked at it yet. But this is something else. Look at that other orb right there. There's a big orb. It's going to come around. See that big orb? Two of them that just came from behind. That's not a cloud. Can't see it very well. Well, that's not a cloud. Okay, so next thing I want to talk about is I gotta get it in the center. There. Okay, you see it has like an X, where that light that crosses it like an X. Our sun has 6, one right across the middle. So when this gets that one across the middle, it'll be a full-blown star. Right now it has an X that's 4, but it's like 4 leaves going out of the nucleus. When it gets that one across the middle, like horizontally, and it has 6 of them, then it's a full-blown star. And that's how close this thing is to being a star. Just that one line across the middle, the two, a leaf on each side, just like that X there, okay? And then it'll be just like the sun. So this is very close to being a star, okay? It's not a star yet, but it's really, really close. And once it reaches that critical mass, it's gonna go fast. After that, it's like really quick, and things happen 1, 2, 3, and it's a star. It just blows up into a star, and that's it. And goodbye, Earth. Then it's too late to run for cover, and there'll be no place to go. Not even underground, no matter how deep you go, because you'll be cooked by radiation anyway, and there'll be no place left to run to. So this is very close to being a star. Okay, so let's watch some orbs on the surface. You can see all the different clusters and how many active ones there are. All those white ones, they're active. Most of the dark areas are activated, but not up to a peak performance, or not up to 100%. You can see how it moves in reverse, which is like so improbable and impossible, according to everything we ever learned in science or physics or astronomy, that it just shouldn't ever be happening. That's a big overcluster right there, that white one. That's a huge one. And that other white one right next to it, they're huge. Remember, all the movement is counterclockwise. Okay, and it's counterclockwise in all different directions. Okay, you see that on the side there, all the way, the line of orbs that's shooting down. Okay. You could see the force field reacting. They're the ones that create the force field on the side. You can see it right there, how it runs right there along the side. Okay, so that keeps the orbs in the cluster nucleus in, and everything else out, except the orbs that are dark matter in the larger cluster, they can come in and out to charge up. And the ones in the nucleus that are charged up, they can leave. But everything else is out of bounds and can't come in. And if it does manage to come in, it'll never come out. That's me moving it around to try and get a good spot so you can try and see what's going on. It's so bright it's very hard to tell what's going on there because it's so bright. But you can see the whole thing is made out of words and nothing else. There is no solid ground or anything. And there is no sunshine reflection or anything like that. This is glowing from the inside out. It's creating its own heat, light, and glow. It's no reflection of it from anything. And you can see the large orbs. See that big black one right there? And the ones right next to it, right below it. That's the force field reacting with the camera all the way down here. See, because they can sense the camera for some reason, and that's not anything to do with lighting or anything like that. The camera is set properly, and that shouldn't be happening. That only happens when they throw a pulse, because what they're doing is trying to turn it off. But being that I now have it on electric power or connected to electricity, they can't turn it off because they need too much power to turn it off. It's no longer working on batteries alone. Okay, that's the pulse I'm talking about, right there. Okay, you see how many times it does it? It's a constant pulsing motion. And the way it finds the camera is because I have a laser finder on the camera, and that's what they sense. Is the laser finder, so that's how they find me, because I get a black dot off. That's my next little project, to black dot off, so that they can't pulse me, because they can pulse strong enough. They've destroyed 3 cameras because of that already, and even 3 of my computers as well. And I have to do something about that in order to not to have to keep buying cameras and computers, because it's getting too expensive. This is just my hobby, and it's costing me way too much. Just buying cameras and computers. So I'm going to take that laser finder off the cameras. We'll see how the pictures come out after that. I don't know. I've never had it off before. but I'll check it out, see if it works. If the cameras still work the same, then they can't find me to give those pulses and destroy any more cameras. Those orbs just look small on camera, but in reality they're huge. I mean, if you really look at them and look at the size of the nucleus, which is supposed to be 4,000 miles across, or something like that, or 4,000 kilometers, sorry, across. You know, you can see that they're pretty large. They're hundreds of miles, hundreds of kilometers in diameter. They're not just little things. And these ones at the edge, they're like hundreds and hundreds of kilometers, even 1,000 kilometers on them. So I just want to show you that force field one more time up here. Hold on, I gotta find it. Okay, right there. See it? See how it's acting as soon as it senses the laser on my camera? Because it's pointing right at it. And they can tell that. And that's the way they find where I am. They trace back the laser right to me. So I gotta block that thing off because I don't want them to know what I'm doing. See how them fly by? A lot of big orbs. A lot of big orbs. See when the laser points at them? Or when they sense it, they pulse right away. Watch. As soon as they hit the laser, if I have it on the right angle, or the correct angle, I mean. Okay, this time I didn't have it on the correct angle. I have to put it on the correct angle. Hold on here, where the force field starts, right there. It's still too low. I don't know if it's gonna do it. I'll let it run to the end. I gotta go up a little higher. It may do it, it may not. Yeah, okay. It's at the right place, but I'm gonna go higher. Okay, right there, where it starts. That big orb's gonna do it. As soon as it hits the big orb, it should do it. I'm not at the right angle. Hold on. Okay. This may be tedious, but what I'm trying to do is show you that the orbs react to the laser. That's what's important. Like if you were trying to get an orb with a weapon that had a laser on it, and you were using it to find that orb, the orb can sense it. It can sense the laser. That's what I'm trying to show. Okay, you watch. Right away. So as soon as it lines up, as soon as you line up your laser to the orb, it's aware of it immediately. I mean, that's 250,000 kilometers or whatever. And the orb is aware, that whole line of orbs there along the edge of the force field is immediately aware, because as soon as one is aware, they're all aware, the whole cluster. And then, they work together and they do something about it. They react. And they can either react or overreact. And very fast too. Their response is immediate. Okay, not the right angle. Okay, it's still too high. I go lower. There's that interchange zone. Okay. This is on top. It's the same everywhere, all around that thing, all around that nucleus, that shift zone or they change in and out is the same process. It's like going in and out of the membrane into the nucleus and out of the nucleus. Okay, so I moved back to 250x because the other way I was so close, I couldn't really see, the whole picture. Sometimes it's important to look at the whole picture rather than just, little pieces. This way you see the whole thing. Okay, you see how it's moving? Yeah, I'm sitting way back here. I am not touching the camera, and it's on a real solid stand. So any movement, I'm not touching anything. Notice how as soon as that thing hits the laser, or the laser hits the orb, it gives that little pulse. You see the picture just sort of blur. Right away you see the blur. That's a pulse. And it's some kind of a microwave pulse that's immediate. It gets here in, I don't know, in like 1,000th of a second or less. It's very fast. See how much movement in reverse that was? It would have been impossible for anyone, or anything to walk in that thing, even if it was solid ground, and it's not solid ground. But even if it was, I mean, if it was made of stainless steel, and you were holding on to something that was built to hold on to, it would just rip your arms right off, this kind of movement, because it's so violent. There's just no way you could even anchor yourself to it. So there was no walking on that thing, especially because it's not even solid. The whole thing is in a constant motion at a high velocity and at a high temperature, and there's living organisms all over that comprise that whole orb cluster nucleus. And the hologram is made by the organisms themselves, because they can change shape, color, size, and they can cluster into things that appear to be familiar to us, but in reality they are nothing but living organisms forming clusters in different shades, in different colors, and in different forms, in order to give us something we expect to see. Okay, it's all about our expectations. We expect the thing to be solid, and that's what we see. But in reality, it's not solid at all. It's moving at a high velocity. It's existing at a high temperature, and it's comprised of living organisms that are really capable and highly intelligent and very capable and prepared and able to not just defend themselves, but to attack things and do away with them real quick. I mean, they start moving at the speed of light. I don't know how fast they can move, but their normal movement is, speed of light, because that's what they are. They're organisms that live at that speed on a normal basis. So any other speed that they can attain is beyond the speed of light, and there's no way, there's no way of catching up to them or running away from them, because they could be on top of you just by appearing or vanishing. I mean, that's the way we see them. We see them appear and vanish. That's how fast they move. We don't see them because of how fast they move. That's one reason we can't see them. Look how bright it got now. Remember, this area was dark before? Look, now it's bright. Remember, you could see the whole thing, it was much darker. Now it's so bright you can hardly tell it's there. So this is very close to being a star. It needs that line across the center, the two leaves horizontally, to be just like our sun. And once that happens, it'll just burn everything and suck all the planets around it in, because then the gravity will become so great, it'll pull everything in, and the more planets it pulls in, the larger it will be, because even more dark matter will come in, and the whole thing will just become bigger and bigger exponentially until it reaches whatever size it's supposed to be. And there is a size it's supposed to be. because it's in an environment where it can only be a certain size in this part of the solar system, because another star already exists, which is our sun. So this would be like a sister star to our sun. And then Pluto would be a place to go on vacation, and we'd have to live somewhere beyond Jupiter in order to be, safe for a while. Mars would be too close. This would to turn into a sun. So there's been a lot of irregular movement tonight, to say the least. And I know I've repeated myself, I've said things before, and I'm repeating now, but look how bright that thing got. Okay, now I'm back to like 80x or something, or 100x, and look how bright it is. I'll just let you watch it for a while. I'm tired of talking. I need a drink of water. I'll let it run for another 2.5 minutes. That'll make it an hour, and that'll be it. Just keep watching the movement. That's what the video is about. It's about the irregular movement and the brightness and the velocity of the orbs moving to increase the brightness, the heat, and the activity inside the nucleus. I mean, that's pretty bright. You always used to be able to see those dark parts even on a full moon, but even with a naked eye, now you can't. Now the whole thing is so bright you can't see them. Okay. The last minute, I'll show you the big orbs along the side. Okay. See that one there? I haven't seen that one before. Okay, there's some there. And some like along this whole side. Okay, see that orb right there? Is the one that's throwing all the pulse. That's the one that's the big one there. That's throwing all the pulse at the camera. Okay. And there's more right there. There. That's a big orb there, the black one. And then the one below it. And then down here, there's big ones on the bottom. Okay. And then on this side. Okay. And then on top. Okay, so it's this side with the orbs. Okay. And then obviously you have these ones inside the nucleus. You have big ones everywhere. Okay, those are all very highly active clusters, and they're even hotter than the there's another big orb shooting by. You see how fast they go by? It's just like before you can blink, it's gone. Okay, so they're taking off and going places all the time. These are space, traveling in space living organisms, and they're huge. So they're always taking off and landing. And these clusters, like the moon and every star, that's where they live. It's like home to them. It's like our planet is to us. Well, these clusters are homes to them. The stars and our moon and other moons like it that are not solid ground, just appear to be. Okay, well, that's that for tonight. I did 1 hour and 1 minute even, and that's it. Thank you and good night.